What is up, players? It is I, Commissar Bane, up in this mug. Now, as everybody knows, Commissar Bane is the handsomest, most popular, most strongest, and most wonderful Commissar in the entire universe. But did you know that there are other Commissars out there doing the exact same job? Fighting the good fight, burning heretics, and slicing and dicing up foul Xenos every day of the week? That's right, players. Today we are going to unbox one of my fellow brothers in arms, and even though he may not have a fancy gas mask, and even though he may not have my rugged charm and devilish good looks, I want you to give him just as much love, if not even more so than you give to myself, players, for today we are unboxing the Plastic Commissar. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's right, Commissar Bane. Today we're taking a look at the half a sprue Commissar that came out a couple years back. It's all in plastic and it is pretty unique. I mean, for a character model, it has a monopose, right? It's going to be pretty set in what you're going to be able to do with it. The only difference, the only option you can choose to give it is whether you give him a bolt pistol, which is what Commissars are known to have in the fiction, walk around executing cowards with, or the more powerful in-game plasma pistol, which also has a chance of blowing up and causing some pretty bad damage to the Commissar himself. The pieces on the sprue are the iconic Commissar black coat with the skull buttons, the back of the coat with the power pack for his arm. He's got a robot arm, I believe. Is this a robot arm? Oh no, it just powers his sword. So he's got a power sword. And he's also got a his hat and his head. Here his face. So he's got a little bionic eye there. And yeah, it looks like this is a decorative base put on the circle base. Okay, so I'm gonna have to find a circular base. Oh, hello. Thank you, Metal Witch Hunter, that I had unboxed a couple of days ago. Look at that. Ready to go. And yeah, let's get going, everybody. So let's go through and talk about how this was to build. It was really not that bad. As I did it in one go, you will see clipping out the major parts of the torso was simple enough. There was a little bit of extra flash on the arm with the power sword, because that is where right up at the epaulette, at the shoulder, you're going to need to scrape and clean a little bit over there. The legs came off really easily, and everything else, like the power sword itself, was really nice. There's a coil on the back of the power sword that is a little bit of a tricky area to clean. But I mean, this model, it couldn't have been easier to build. It's very classic. Glue the back to the front and the arm slots in right where it's supposed to. You could put a little bit of a scrape a little bit of that flash off there, because as you can see, it's not going to fit the front unless it's absolutely flush, and there is a little bit of flash from the frame. So clean that up with your hobby knife. And then getting the legs on was real simple. The torso fits really easily onto it. I got my base here, and I've decided when I was putting it on that I would try to cover up that slot in the center as well as I could before having to go in and actually put some texture paint over it. So what I'm going to be doing is putting this masonry in front of the slot itself, so you can't see the slot from the front. And then I'm going to paint on some of that texture paint, let it dry, maybe do a couple of layers just so it really covers that slot in the base. The model itself, putting the base onto the foot was a little tricky. It didn't fit as intuitively as I would hope it would. So when I finally got it on there, then I had to make sure that it was set before I could really press it down onto the base. I didn't want it coming loose as I was trying to adjust it to the angle that I wanted. The head and the hat went on super easy. as you're about to see. But the arm, nice and flat, flush to where the shoulder is. See, this is an intuitive build. You know where everything is supposed to go. Flat surface areas of the shoulder connects to the torso. Everything goes on the way it's supposed to. These newer Warhammer Quest single monopose models that come in 3 separate pieces that do not look intuitive at all. They're a lot trickier to figure out. The weapon goes on really nicely because the back of the weapon has the gauntlet or the cuff, so that slots on really nicely to the arm on the torso. Just put a little bit of glue there and it will sit flush and press up right against the arm there. Here's the hat. Like I said, I was a little worried about the hat not being able to fit on the head, but it does fit real nice and strong because of where the slot is on the head. And put a little glue on the neck. There you go. Angle it right so he's looking down the barrel, and your model is complete. And there you have it, folks. What a great figure when he's built up. I think the angle is correct there on the base. Not too sure because I don't have the instructions. I only got the sprue, and I think it's a good way to mask that slot. I'm going to eventually go back with some AK interactive textured terrain. If you don't have this, you could use any kind of textured basing product to just cover up those holes and smoothen it out. But I think putting the masonry in front of where the hole would appear is going to take a lot of that trouble off and a lot of that effort away from that. I like the bolt pistol. I don't think I mentioned this when I was unboxing it and looking at it, but I like the design on the inside. That weird looking puckered design on the plate of the bolt pistol. It just looks cooler. I think the point of a Commissar is to go in with whatever squad you want him to boost up, and he's not going to be using that plasma pistol. They're not going to be relying on him, right? It's a gamble if you use him in a combat capacity. Like, I don't even know if I would use him because he's got this power sword. I wouldn't want him to get up close and personal with the enemy because I'm pretty sure that he would not do so well. He's almost there just as a passive buff. I would use him. So I would want him to stay alive. That's why I'm giving him the bolt pistol. There's no chance of him blowing himself up. And I think he looks pretty good. I think so. What do you think, Commissar Bane? Mediocre! Of course, Commissar Bane would think that. He doesn't like to have any competition. But Commissar Bane, you being resin and this guy being plastic, I think he is a little bit bulkier and beefier. Kind of like how the Cadian Shock Troopers look so much larger than the Death Corps of Krieg, being more of a realistically scaled miniature. It looks more like a normal person, and this looks more like a epic, cartoony, proportioned person. But there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this little unboxing of the Astra Militarum Imperial Guard Commissar with power sword and bolt pistol. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to support my channel, you can hit that like button, leave me a comment down below. You could become a patron on my Patreon. I'll put the links below for that. And thank you so much for watching this video. We'll see you in the next one. Latest, players!